All right, guys, first things first, I want to cover kind of what we saw today with Trump walking back all the news and then all the tariffs. He didn't walk all of them back, but we'll go over that. I want to go over the setups for tomorrow on Bitcoin. I think this presents a really interesting kind of plan we can have around this. I also want to go over kind of the Solana chart. I also think it's in a very interesting spot. And I also want to give kind of my thoughts for tomorrow, kind of what I'm thinking. Again, anything I say can instantly be reversed by headlines, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm saying really flat. All my trades are basically scalps. But I think Bitcoin does look good here. But let's go over it anyways. Okay, so first things first, we had the gap up in Bitcoin, and let's just cover kind of the trades tomorrow. So when you kind of get these gaps up, what will normally happen is people will chase kind of near here, and then we get some trap positioning, and then we can kind of flush them out here in something called the single prints. Think about this just like the gap from the news, right? So we have the news gap. You guys can see this is the anchored VWAP off the news. Maybe let's move like here. This is the anchored VWAP off the news. I really should put on the 1 minute. Let's. Okay, that's the anchored view up off the move. So basically, if we lose that and trade back into these singles, right, they're basically almost in the same spot. We normally fill it out. So it's just like weak positioning, right? Everyone longed here, and then everyone gets long up here, and then you just kind of roll over and you kind of fill it out. It doesn't even have to go this deep. Maybe we just fill it out into here, but that's kind of scenario one, and you can get long off that. Scenario two, maybe we just come up here and tap the top of the single prints. This gets defended pretty hard, and then we just, SPX makes higher highs tomorrow. That's kind of the two trades. And also kind of the price action trade, like maybe we come up here and off the daily open. That's kind of the three setups I have. Honestly, I don't really have much. It's a pretty simple like TPO stuff. When you get these singles, either they get defended, so you want this area to be defended. If they don't, then it's going to normally fill out the singles. It doesn't have to fill all of them out, but honestly, I normally, depending on the order flow, I like to go short into them, and you can kind of get the fill. It's normally a pretty fast trade. It works in your favor really fast, and you can get long here, sometime in the gap. Really dependent on structure and stuff like that. I mean, we don't really have much. Maybe it does trade down all the way to 78, but I don't know. Again, headline risk is high, so I'll probably just take the I'll probably just take the, let's see, it would be like maybe 2% or something. Maybe just run away. So that's all my thoughts for tomorrow. We definitely could get a continuation, but that's just kind of the setups, right? I'm going to react, not anticipate. Right now, what we're seeing in the flow, this is the Flow Horses aggro template, so shout out for him for that. But what we're kind of seeing in the flow, you guys can see spot. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Spot is kind of still buying, and it looks like perps are selling, but I don't know. I don't want to like psych myself out too much. You guys can see it looks like Binance spot is going kind of crazy, right? So yeah, I mean, it looks like perps are selling and then spot's kind of buying, especially on Binance and a little bit on Coinbase. We'll see if that persists. If it doesn't, and we just roll over, I mean, that's fine too. The other trade I'm looking at, Solana 120. This trade could be massive, guys. We've been talking about Solana for a long time on this channel. We have been talking about this kind of range and how we had all these untapped highs. I just want to go over my thinking in the trade. All the untapped highs, all this kind of poor structuring that had to get punished. Definitely helps when you have the SPX nuking in Bitcoin. So it's not the end all be all. And then we also have this massive range, right? Here. You know what? I think the level may be here. Whatever. Basically, you have this range acceptance back into here. And that's kind of the trade I'll be looking for. I'm going to monitor this 120 level massively. I don't think, this absolute value area low level is very important. You guys can see all the lows down here. If we are able to, come back, we get this either backfill on Bitcoin or we don't. It really doesn't matter. If we do get the backfill, you can get long on Solana somewhere in here. If we don't, we keep ranging. We hold this upper range like this. We can get long off the single prints. Very similar idea. I might wait though until this 120 breaks, which is kind of a breakout trade, which I don't like to take, but I don't know. Maybe I just layer spot into it, but I don't think, like, we're getting in the tariff kind of thing. I don't think it's still necessarily good for markets if he's going to keep all these tariffs, right? There's still 10% on everybody. He came out and said something about Canada and Mexico, and then he also saying it's 125% for 125% for China. So, I mean, it's like, do I want to build like a long-term position here in Solana and bid it, I don't know. I'm contemplating it. I think like risk reward, it's great. I've been talking about 90, like this 90, 100 area, even 80 for forever. So it's on my watch list. I'm actually going to place a thing right here. And we also have CPI tomorrow. So I don't know. A lot's up in the air. I think these Bitcoin setups are pretty good though. Watch these single prints whenever you get a day like this. I love trading them. They normally work out pretty good. You can get some good setups off them. Only other thing I want to cover is this indicator, the kind of bread and butter I love. Guys, look at where we have a massive order sitting. It's right at the end of these single prints. We'll see if he gets filled or not. I feel like we might front run a little bit, but you guys can see people are offering Bitcoin up here. And we are getting kind of the slowdown in the trend. So, excuse me. We are getting the slowdown in the trend. So we'll see what happens. I think, it's mostly SPX driven. If we open up the SPX, you guys can see this was like the biggest day since 2008 for upside. So I could see a day where we kind of just chill. But it's all up to the headlines, right? No one really knows what Trump's going to do next. I guess if he tweets to go long, just go long next time. He literally tweeted go long. And then 4 hours later, he said that the tariffs were coming off. So should have just listened to him, I guess. I guess let's go over my options trades. So I have Google. I got lucky on Google. I was holding this for a while and it pumped. And I have some KWeb. Now I'm not as confident in KWeb right now. But I still hold a chunk of the position. I'm just not sure how it shakes out with Trump. But I'm not just gonna exit it right away. I mean it doesn't look bad, in the overnight. We have this kind of crazy gap here at like 31. If we get in here, it's probably gonna reject here again, maybe, but if we get in here, we probably just fill this out and end up somewhere around here. Like these highs, maybe. But I sold half of it. I don't know how it shakes out. I think they had some news come out tonight. Consumer spending or something. But yeah. Why it's even going up with the tariffs, I'm not even sure. I thought China would kind of fight back and stimulate, maybe their economy, but honestly, I don't know. Other than that, I don't really think there's much else. You guys have any questions? Again, throw them in the comments. Those are the Bitcoin setups. I'm watching Bitcoin heavily. I'm watching Solana like a hawk. Also, guys, if Fartcoin, one last thing, I forgot to mention this. If Fartcoin, it's freaking coin. If Fartcoin accepts back under here, you have another short opportunity. You guys can see what Farcoin kind of did. Let's pull up the 4 hour. So we had this kind of rounded bottom, and then we put in this crazy candle and right into this kind of resistance area here. You know, this is like an obvious 5-year-old could draw this. So if we get the push down tomorrow in Bitcoin, maybe we kind of test some of this positioning. You can get short into this gap, and then you can actually long it, maybe previous day view up or something like that. So anyways, that's all the setups I'm looking for. I'm not holding anything back, guys. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So any questions, let me know. Thanks.